What's going on, guys? Jules Meli back with the Bionic podcast, episode number 3, where I have on my little sister, Caterina.
What's going on, everyone?
All right, so I just want to thank you guys so much for the support. We just went live on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify. The YouTube channel is now up and running. It's growing very slowly, but at the same time, I am so thankful. If you shot me a message, if you reached out to me in any way, shape, or form to let me know that you enjoyed the podcast, I truly appreciate you. And again, I want to welcome all of our listeners on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube. What's going on, guys? Episode number 3. We got the mystery mugs, as always. Kat chose the drink, so we're going to start with the toast. Cheers, Kat.
Hey, cheers, bud.
All right, so bah, that's disgusting. But anyways, nothing
Clearly,
like
I chose the
nothing
drink.
like seeing your sibling in pain, right? Like there's
Yeah.
nothing funnier than that. So anyways, guys, continuing with the Team Bionic podcast, the first series is going to be Meet Team Bionic. So very important aspect to my team, my little sister Kat, in many different aspects. I want to explain to you guys how she's helped the actual business of Team Bionic, a little bit about us growing up together, what we've been through individually and together. It's been a lot.
Yep.
Yeah, we've been through a lot.
It's been a journey.
It's been a journey. How old are you now?
I'm 20.
Okay, so Kat is 20, I am 22, turning 23 in February. She's turning 21, going to be legal all around the
Everywhere.
world. That's unreal. To think that my sister's 20 years old is crazy. The joke between me and all my friends is that Kat's always 12. No matter how many birthdays we've all been celebrating together, we always say happy 12th birthday, Kat,
Yeah.
because at the end of
Even
the
though it's
day,
8 years later, I still get the happy 12th birthday every July 18th.
so, just goes to show you that, you never want your little sister to grow up. But Kat is becoming an amazing woman. I want to share with you guys her insights, her knowledge. She's an absolute brain. I did not get the knowledge or the brains in the from our parents, but I want to talk to Kat about a couple specific things. So we're gonna start with you tonight at 7:30. It's about 9:30 right now. Finished your last exam, so congratulations.
Thank you.
You're in McMaster.
Yep.
Tell us about your program. Tell everybody what you're studying, and like the minor and the major.
Yeah, so for sure. So as Jules said, I go to McMaster and I'm majoring in social psychology, minoring in mental health and addiction, as well as getting a certification in business studies. So kind of a lot going on there. There's a lot of elements to my program and what I study, but that's honestly been the best part. It's just like learning a lot of different things and how everything kind of interacts with each other. So it's pretty cool. Definitely love what I study.
Okay.
I think that's a really important thing too, is to always love what you study.
Yeah. So, did you know like in grade 12 that that's what you wanted to take? Like, were you like 100% like I want to go into
Oh
psych
God,
or
no.
no?
God, no. I
What about
thought
business? Did you
like yeah. So
either
that
of the
was
two or?
well, yeah. So originally I was always like business is kind of the root. It seemed more like I was always very good at math and all that. But then I also had this like really nerdy side that like loved my social science classes and like I'm a theater kid. For those of you who don't know.
Yeah, Kat grew up. So as Kat was coming to every single one of my hockey games, which I have to shout you out for. I don't think Kat missed a hockey game in like 16 years, honest to God, or competitions or anything. You've never ever like my parents have one night not been there, each of them, and Kat has never missed anything. Number one supporter, but at the same time, my family has gone out to every play that she's had, whether it be in an acting association that she was with on the side privately, and then into high school she did a play or multiple plays every single year. So
Yeah.
you're extremely good at speaking
Yeah.
in front of crowds and stuff like that. So what
Yeah.
led you into that program?
So to be honest, I also, as I said, like I always really liked my social science courses. Those were always like the coolest to me. And I have friends and family who were in commerce because they're older than me.
Hmm.
So they would always be like struggling with this and that and learning a bunch of things that I'm like, aren't you supposed to go to university to study what you love and like take what you love to like a more knowledgeable level? So that's kind of the advice that I took with me. I was like, you know what, more follow your heart, not your brain with university. And it really worked out because as I was going into university, I was also struggling with a lot of mental health issues. So my goal was I'd like to know more for myself and know more to help those around me. And that's kind of why I took the psychology and mental health route. In addition to also like I love studying that stuff. It's so fascinating. It's so
Hmm.
relevant.
I think you
Um,
like to read people as well. Like you like to know
yeah,
why people make the decisions that they make, and
100%.
kind of and that comes all from wanting to understand someone else's perspective, which is
Yeah.
not a common thing. Like a lot of people that are like short fused or whatever will just be like, I don't care what the other person thinks, blah blah
Yeah.
whatever. But you're very mature in the sense, and you've always been very mature growing up. Like just to put that out there, like you've always kind of hung out with my friends, or like always had older friends,
Mm-hmm.
which is something I want to talk to you about. Like you're just very mature, and I think that also not help but led you to that, because you want to
Yeah.
understand the human mind.
Yeah.
There's something about that really intrigues you. I can tell that in your passion for school.
Yeah.
But you've had a passion for school this entire
I'm a
time.
big nerd.
She's a big
I
nerd. Like
like
this,
to know
when Kat gets a
things
B, it's like the worst day of her life. Like she's one of those, like, which is really cool because I never gave a shit about my marks ever.
until
Like,
you studied what you loved.
yes, and that's what we talked about with Dad,
Yeah.
was him studying culinary, me studying fitness, you studying a little bit of business and psych,
Yeah.
social sciences mixed. That's amazing.
And I
So,
think that what you touched on quickly though is that like how the mind works, and that's super important for like interpersonal relationships and even like understanding yourself. Like I took a psychology class called personality, and I was just like analyzing the crap out of myself, and I'm like,
mhm.
why do you do this? Like this is why you do this. But it's also cool because how the mind works also plays into like the business side of things, like consumer
That's what I
behavior.
wanted to ask you about. So my next question was, what do you think the connection between psychology, humans, the human mind, and business is? Because I'm in business, not necessarily. I never took
Yeah.
any business courses. For anybody out there that thinks I know what I'm doing, I don't necessarily know what I'm doing from a business perspective. I know what I'm doing from a fitness and nutrition and workout perception, but from a business perception,
Yeah.
I've had to ask Kat a lot. She's taken entrepreneurship classes. She's done a lot. So, what do you think the connection is between the two things that are actually in your degree, like completing the entire thing?
I would definitely have to say like consumer trends, and that's like especially because I'm more into marketing when it comes to business,
Mm.
and I think like understanding how people perceive things and how consumers react to things, like that really had helped me. Especially I had a marketing internship in the summer, and
Mhm.
when they were talking about advertising and marketing towards like people my age or people older or younger, like it helps to know how that specific age or demographic perceives things and how they understand what they like, what they don't like, and a lot of that is interchangeable with psychology and all
Mhm.
that. So
And then it allows you to be a better marketing person,
oh, 100%.
having that extra knowledge, because
Yeah.
somebody that only studied business and doesn't really know much about humans won't necessarily catch certain things or see
Yeah.
certain things, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I think that what you're doing is awesome. It's a
Thanks.
mixture from Mohawk College, correct?
Yeah. Yeah,
So
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 it's
the business
Momac.
part, yeah, so the business part is going to be from Mohawk.
Mohawk.
The degree is going to be from McMaster.
McMaster, yeah.
Only brains go to McMaster, if you don't know this. It's like one of those, it's actually one of the top 20 schools in Canada.
Yeah.
It's really high up there. Brock is not. Or Niagara, or whatever you want to call the St. Catharines region. So really applaud you and Rachel for going to a really good school and studying
Mm.
very specific things. Kat and Rachel, my girlfriend, for those of you listening, they actually took a lot of the same courses. So
Yeah.
I can't make a move without it being understood or critiqued. It's absolutely insane. Like right when I get emotionally involved in something or whatever, like Kat or my girl are there to like just be honest with me, straight up with me, and I think that's helped me grow a lot.
Oh,
So that's why I
100%.
wanted to ask. Or that's why I want to ask you about your degree and stuff like that. Because
Mm.
at the end of the day, the Meet Team Bionic thing, I want people to understand why I am the way I am, and
Mm-hmm.
it's because of my surroundings. It's because
Yep.
of you. It's because of our parents. It's because of Rachel. So
Yep.
I I think that what you're studying is making you like a very complete person in terms of like
Thanks.
mind and everything, body,
Thanks.
spiritual. I've seen the growth from you.
Thanks.
So I know that it's working because you're learning more and you're applying it to your life. Because a lot of
Yeah.
people will learn things in school, but then they don't apply it,
Yeah,
right?
they don't take it any
Same thing, like
further.
if I learned how to like increase a lift or something like that in school, and I never applied it to my own thing, I would never be exceeding my potential or my expectations for
100%.
myself, right? So,
It's all about growth, right? And that's why I think that you need to study something that makes you grow because you need to become the best version of yourself possible.
you can't even plan something like that. Like that's amazing. You I can't believe you're 20 years old. That's absolutely fucked.
Hey, thanks.
Anyway, so the next thing I want to talk to you about was a little bit of a topic about just taking it back a bit. So it happened to me later on in elementary school, but it happened to you early on in elementary school was the topic of bullying.
Mm.
So I wanted to ask you about the bullying stuff. How did you get bullied? Like, was it online? Was it in person? At what ages? And then what did it take for you to overcome the fear of having to go to school and having to face those individuals on a daily basis? It's almost like when you break up with someone and you go to the same school as them, like you have to go to the school and
Yeah.
face that person every single day. It's not just like an adult life where like you never have to see that person again. Like
Yeah.
in elementary school, if you get bullied, or in high school, like in high school it's different because you have different classes, but in
Yeah.
elementary school specifically, because you're in the same class the entire day, if the person's in your class or whatever, just like tell us about that because I think that that has had an impact on you as a person as well.
Yeah, so I got bullied. The first time I got bullied was actually in grade two, and it was physical. I got the crap beat out of me, to put it plain and simple. I was like pushed downstairs. I was like kicked on the playground.
And Kat was like the cutest little button, like big eyes, like bangs,
Bangs,
like
yeah,
couldn't
super
hurt a fly. Yeah,
small.
super petite, like mom, like very skinny, like small, short, like
Yeah.
so. It was just it blew my mind like
Yeah, like I
that.
would come home with like bruises and I would be like, "What happened to you?" And I'm like, "I don't know. I was pushed down the stairs. First thing I'm walking to the office. Next thing you know, I'm already at the bottom of the stairs." So it was definitely like I think something too that's like was super important about that whole journey was that like my teachers and like the principal, they didn't really do anything. Like they were still
Hmm.
sending me back to the class. And like I remember my principal, he was like, "Oh well, I think it's because he likes you." And I'm like, "So he's pushing me and kicking me because he likes me?" I just didn't. I'm like, I
That's
don't
not
get
a
it.
laughing matter, but it's like I'm laughing that like the principals and the staff are that stupid that like it
Yeah.
just kept going on for a long time.
I
Um,
just didn't know really what was going on. Like I was so young. And then again in grade five
and
and
then
seven, I
and then
got online
yeah, I was
bullied.
gonna say there was some cyberbullying going on there as well, right?
Yeah, it was like
So
just like girls being like weird 12-year-olds like writing like rude things on Twitter, and I'm like I didn't even have Twitter at the time, and I was like being like it was being screenshotted and sent to me, and I'm like where do I even go? Like how do I even deal with it? But funny story about that is that the girl who bullied me online in grade seven messaged me. So that was like, you're like, what, like 12 years old? She messaged
mhm,
me, I think it was this year. So
I
eight
remember that.
years later. And she was like, "Hey, I don't know if you remember me. I'm so and so."
And obviously, you don't forget the people that bully you.
Yeah,
Like,
obviously not.
okay.
So she was like, "Hey, it's so and so. I don't know if you remember, but I bullied you back in the day, and I just wanted to let you." Like, she just sent this like long apology, and to be honest, I was like, honestly, like it didn't really affect me too much in the long run. Like,
Mhm.
resilience is key, and resilience makes you better.
Mhm.
But I was really appreciative of it because I'm like, that was really cool to
Yes.
experience. But
So, and what I wanted to like connect with the people is like sometimes, you go to school with your sibling and not that like I was scared to do things. I'm a completely different person now than I was back then.
yeah,
And in high school I was a completely different person in university. So you changed throughout the years. I was talking to my about my that with Nick.
yeah,
We were talking about how, you know, every day that goes on, you learn more. You're a different person. You see things differently.
yep,
So when I was in grade five, I didn't act quickly, but at a certain point, the kid that was bullying her, I found him at recess. Like, I know this sounds like stupid, but I found him at recess and I chased the kid down and I literally beat the living shit out of him because I was so
Not actually like
n-
beat the shit out of him.
no, no, like I wailed on the kid because I did it. It was like the first time ever that I was like, somebody's disrespecting my family. Like, I couldn't internally take that at all. It got to a breaking point, and that's why I beat the shit out of him. It wasn't just like a push or something. Like, I just was like, don't ever talk to my sister like that again. Whatever. I'm very protective over my family. But what I wanted to ask you about was, what was it like going to school with your big brother in elementary school? And then for those of you that don't know, I went to Joan of Arc for 2 years in grade 9 and 10, and then I transferred to Gonzaga at grade 11 and 12. And Kat and I are 2 years apart. So right when she was going to high school, she ended up just coming straight to Gonzaga with me and not going to Joan, which I think was a good change of crowd
Yeah.
for you because a lot of the girls and friend groups and everything that you grew up with wasn't like extremely like
Yeah. I
like
didn't stick. I
I
didn't
was saying
stick.
it's more it was toxic.
Yeah.
Like the groups were toxic, like the girls were
Yeah.
toxic, and we knew that, and we're like, okay, like if I'm going to Zaga, obviously Kat's gonna come.
Hmm.
So what was it like growing up, seeing me obviously at recess and then like at Zaga, like you know,
Well, I have to say that having you in elementary school was very fun because I would always like, and this goes even in elementary school and in high school. I always felt like protected, and I felt like I had a support system, which was definitely needed during those years. Like we
hmm
went through a lot. Like that's when our parents got separated and all that. It was going through bullying, so it was definitely
I
nice
just
because
couldn't beat the shit out of the girls. That
no,
was the only
no,
issue. Was like there's the first one was a guy, the other ones were girls, so Kat
I
had to she had to
can.
deal with that one on her own. But
But yeah, so no, elementary school was fun. Like I remember always playing with you and your friends at recess, which is really cool.
hmm
So that was fun.
and coming out of elementary school, like my all of my friends consider Kat like their little sister.
Yeah.
Like at the end of the day, like even in high school, like my good friends, Kat's been coming out to party with us like since she was 16 to be like super illegal on the podcast. Like we both had fake IDs growing up. Like she was coming out with me when I was barely legal or like just getting legal.
Oh,
Then, into those couple years, the 2 years that she wasn't and I was, she was still coming out with my friends and I. Our parents knew about it. They're honestly like the chillest people in the world.
yeah.
And like all these things, all ages events and stuff like that we went to. So I think that
Yeah.
going to the same school as each other and being only 2 years apart was really cool because like you know what I mean? Like it wasn't
Yeah.
just like, oh, like when we got home, whatever. It was also like at recess, like
We chill
yeah,
and
not like
stuff.
chilled every single day, but like
No.
at the same time, like if you came up to a group of friends like that I was with, like everybody's welcoming to you, everybody loves you,
Oh
like
yeah. And that goes into like high school, like in the halls, like if I was like roaming around, like I'd always see you or your friends and like we chat and like I know it was also like cool because like I knew the older kids in the school and that
yeah.
was like cool because I had like I'd back up, right? I'd back up on
Especially in
me.
high school, you had hella backup.
Yeah,
That was
like
like,
there's this one story that I just want to touch on briefly.
oh,
There's
that's
this
a
guy starting rumors about me at school that were not so good rumors. And one night I was in my room crying, and Jules and his friend were like, "Why are you crying?" And I'm like,
I came back from a practice.
yeah, and you're like, why are you crying? And I told them what was going on. Like literally the next day, like Jules and his friends, they like went to the guy's class, and it was just like I don't want to. Like it made a big scene in the hallway, and then I was my Italian teacher. I
But
was taking Italian
the
at the
best part
time.
about that story is that the kid was in the class. I looked the teacher dead in the face and I was like, I need this kid outside right now. And the funny thing is that the teacher didn't even question me. The
No,
teacher saw like my hand was shaking. I don't know if she knew. I was
she was
obviously,
Italian.
I
I feel
wasn't
like she
gonna
knew.
punch her, but
You mean
she could
yeah,
tell that cat was off. And then when I showed up the next day, and I was like, I need to talk to this kid. I just gave him a fair warning. We were in school. High
yeah.
schools have cameras, so I'm not an idiot. I'm not gonna go swing at some kid's chin, put him to bed, and then get a 7 day suspense. You know what I mean? Like I'm not trying to do that. I'm smart. I never threw hands in school. But catch me outside. How about that? But I was like, just how about you never say, think, or anything my sister's name ever again. And he's like, oh, no, yeah, no, for sure. And I was like, oh, okay, great. Then we have a great understanding here. Nobody needs to get hurt, and we're just going to move on. Like, it's very simple. Like, thank you very much. And then I don't think we ever heard anything after that, did we?
No, but we did. Me and the dude did become friends. Which
Wow,
was
isn't
actually
that weird?
jokes.
He ended up being really nice to Kat after that.
Yeah,
That's
we were
that's
boys. We ended up actually working together later on in
yeah.
life, so that was cool.
Names
But
will not be mentioned in this podcast. That's why even when we
ever,
talk about my friends, we're just super general. I just want to talk to you guys about my family, how
yeah,
much they mean to me, what they've done to me. And I wanted to talk to you also about your transformation.
mm.
That's something that, because I'm trying to go in a timeline, right? So
Yeah,
we
yeah.
covered elementary school. Our parents got divorced. We were there with just me and you, like team siblings. You know what I mean?
Siblings.
Always there for each other. Then high school came around. I would drive Kat home if I had the car, whatever. We had a great relationship, even in high school, going out together, having fun. And then in university, you went away.
Yep.
You went and stayed at residence at McMaster. I was also in the Niagara region as well, living away from home. So a funny story quickly. Kat, on the night that she left, she came back home. Did you bus or did we come get you?
No, I bust.
Yeah,
I
so
bust.
we dropped Kat off, we unloaded all of her things, we gave her a case of beer, we got her all this stuff or microwave this, that, whatever, in her little residence, and we're like, bye Kat, we love you. Tough moment for my parents, whatever. That night, I think we wrote each other notes or something like that. Like we wrote you a
Yeah.
note and you wrote us a note or something, and it
Mhm.
was like so sad. And she ended up busing home at like 8:30, hung out with us the night, and then we brought her the next day.
Yeah.
Just because like at night it was probably a bit lonely in the res or whatever.
Well, no, the real reason is actually because of you, because
Oh,
I
'cause
was
yeah,
rushing out because we had
yeah,
like a residence meeting or whatever. And because I got to residence move in so late, I didn't have like my roommates were like leaving,
I
my
totally
res was
forgot about this
leaving.
story.
And I'm like, oh my God, I have to go. And then I'm like, okay, bye, guys. And it was like a rushed goodbye. And then you texted me.
Basically, what happened was she fully hugged and kissed my parents and my grandmother, and then fucked off. Right, I went to like give her a hug, and she's like gone, and I'm like, oh my god, am I even fucking here? Am I like a silhouette? Like I tried to put my hand through myself. I was like, am I even fucking here right now?
I
And
felt so bad. I
she
literally
felt.
went back to my res, cried, and I like texted my mom. I'm like, just hopped on a bus. Come pick me up in 40 minutes.
She had Air Mills,
Yeah.
honestly.
So that was that. That was a good time.
No, and that just goes to show you like like if it's not right, like we're very emotional, like all four of us, like
Yeah.
our parents, like even our step siblings, our step parents, like very we're all very attached, we're all very family oriented. That's why me Team Bionic is my family, guys. When I posted a picture of everybody at my competition wearing my gear, it was my family. These are the core people that have created everything that I have. So what I wanted to talk to you about is when you got to first year,
Yep.
gained a little bit of weight, just like
Mhm.
every single other person that's been to university ever.
Yep.
And then what happened was this instant change that like I don't even think like I gave you a nutrition plan, but it wasn't
I think it
that
was like in the
like
summer. No,
yeah,
it
like
was just like
no, I sent you
general.
one for school. I sent you one at school. I think it was like at the end of second semester. Then you came home, and that's when it really
Kicked in,
started.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you worked at Longo's in the bakery. For anyone that doesn't know, Kat was like number one icer, like icing, piping icing, like whipping and dipping bread and all this kinds of shit.
It
And
was
she,
good stuff.
yeah, and she
But I got fat.
she was ripping a cupcake a shift or whatever she was doing,
Yeah.
whatever. So
I gained some weight.
and everybody gets to points in life where they're like, oh, I don't think I'm healthy. It's not about, guys, and this is what I want to explain about myself and my coaching and Team Bionic. It's not about looking good. It's about
Mm-mm.
feeling good. It's about your health. It's about your perception about yourself. It's about
Yeah.
self-esteem and self-efficacy, right? Like
Yeah.
your ability to believe you can do something, your perception about yourself. So what was it for you that you thought were the key aspects in terms of physical habits,
Yep.
mental habits,
Mhm.
and just overall balancing everything too? Because if anybody's ever seen the Team Bionic page, she has one of the biggest transformations and one of the most interacted photos with on the Team Bionic Instagram. One of the biggest transformations, to the naked eye, it wasn't a lot like on the scale, but you completely changed your body composition. You're in amazing shape for the last 2.5 years since that time. So what were the key mental and physical aspects that you believe got you to that goal?
Yeah, for sure. So, like honestly, I want to start off by saying that, like first year is a time for everyone that it's like very different because you're obviously probably in like a new space with meeting new people, and a lot of it is like a party culture. So you're eating and drinking like all the time,
Ugh.
and I love that, and I had an amazing time. But I think one of the major things was that I would like be eating and I'd be drinking and I wouldn't really care. And as I mentioned before, starting in grade 12, I was going through like a tough time. I was going through some mental stuff. Wasn't really in a good place. And then, to be honest, it was like a morning. And if you go to the Bionic page and you see my transformation, it was literally the morning that I took that picture. I just like looked up at myself in the mirror, and it wasn't even my body. I just wasn't happy with the people I had, some of the people I had in my life, who I was surrounding myself with. I wasn't surrounding myself with like a positive environment.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like nothing was like, and the thing I lacked a lot was like consistency in people, consistency in eating and working out and physical habits, and like consistency in the way you think. Cause I think that's really important too, is that if you're and mental health isn't about always feeling good, it's about trying your best to make yourself feel good.
Let me plug something quickly. Kat also wrote a really good journal or article for the McMaster,
Cope.
the Cope.
Yeah, I'm a volunteer for McMaster Cope. So if you have mental health struggles or you want to learn more, please go check that out.
Yeah, I'm gonna link that in the description of this video. Kat wrote an article interviewing my girlfriend and I, Rachel, and it was really cool because the topic of the article was physical and mental health and what they both mean and the relation between the 2.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just funny because I have a physical health background and Rachel has a mental health background. So even for myself, I've been learning on the daily from both you and Rachel about this. So
Yeah.
continue on with the keys.
Yeah, so like, and that was just something I was kind of like, I wanted to just get better at the consistency in my life. And I just wanted to feel good and feel happy. And I think that was just a part. There was something, what I realized, there was something missing. There's like a little piece missing. And ever since that moment, I've been, really, really focusing on balance in my life, because odds are you're not going to be able to eat good or eat well and
Have a killer
and have a
workout
killer
every
workout
single
every
day.
single day.
No.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I think it's just about finding balance, and you got to feel good to look good. And I really do believe in that. And if you have seen my post on the Bionic page, I said before I conquered my body, I had to conquer my mind. And I truly believe in that, because your mind is at the center of your universe, and whatever your mind thinks, feels, is how you're going to act, and how you're going to act towards yourself, and how you're going to act towards others. So it's
Yeah,
really
reflects in
important.
your actions.
Hundos P. And I think it's important to be as positive as you can towards yourself and be kind towards yourself. And whether that's in the
Love
form of
yourself.
love yourself, for
Love
sure,
yourself.
feel yourself.
Come
Like,
on.
you need to eat well, or, like, I don't know. I also like working out.
Eat things that make you feel good.
Yeah,
You know what I
because it's
mean?
not
Like,
all about like brown rice, sweet potato, and
no,
chicken breast.
no.
Like, that's
I
not
mean,
it at
for me
all.
it is, but my life in February, that's all it's about to be. But no, 100%, Kat. And I
Yeah.
think that, coming from your traditional Italian background and wanting to enjoy, some pasta and some bread and all these good
With some
things,
prosciutto.
you never really restricted yourself. You just knew that you wanted to progress it to a certain point. So when you got there, when you got to your goal and whatever, you now created this balance, right? I mean,
Yep.
let's be completely transparent and honest here. It does come with sacrifice to either
100%.
work harder in the gym to burn the calories or whatever. You lost a lot of fat, dude. Like you got fucking diced, guys. Kat's fucking way more shredded than I am right now and for the past little while. And I'm honest about it. I don't care. Like, my sister has been someone that I can look up to, even though she's like 5'3". Like, honest to
I'm
God,
short.
she's short. And I think that that's so fucking cool because you did it in school, mostly in a house. Like, not, you didn't, like, your most of your transformation was when you moved out of res into a regular house, which, either if you're listening to this and you've been to university, you can make this judgment for yourself. Moving into a second year house versus res can either continue a downslope process of you continuing to eat healthy, maybe prioritizing school over food,
Mm-hmm.
eating one meal a day, or ordering pizza a little bit more than you should, or whatever it
Yep.
may be. There's, like you said about balance, right? There's that's so key.
Yeah.
But when you're studying, super super hard, and you're not feeding yourself good nutrients and good brain food and stuff like that, like you're not benefiting yourself either. You're just continuing this downslope, right? So for
Right.
you, how did you meal prep? Like, what were a couple key tips that you can give to people that want to have things under control in university?
Mm-hmm.
That's the last question I want to talk about this topic, is like, what's your advice to the viewers, to the listeners that
Mm-hmm.
are saying, hey, like, man, like, I'll eat good all week, or I'll binge on the weekend, or I go a couple days eating well, and then this happens, or exams or whatever. How do you keep things consistent? Because you didn't gain the weight back. That's why I'm asking you this
Mm-hmm.
question of how do you continue that winning streak.
Honestly, it was actually something you said to me, and it was about like the preparing. What's your quote there? You always
If
say,
you fail to prepare, you should be prepared to fail.
and that was something that always stuck in my mind because, especially as a university kid, like it's not like you go to work from 9 to 5 or something, and then you can bring a lunch, you have breakfast at home or whatever it is. Your life is so not balanced, and like you got classes at different hours of the day. That
Mm-hmm.
means you work out at different times of the day. So I think something that, and like for those of you who don't know, I lived in a residence that had its own kitchen. So I kind of started this habit in my second semester of first year, but that's only because I had a kitchen because I
Mm-hmm.
was sick. But anyways, so I think my main advice is obviously number one, balance, and don't get mad at yourself when you fall off balance, because that's how you continue going down. So if you fall down, pick yourself back up. Don't worry about it. Keep looking straight.
Don't guilt yourself.
Don't guilt yourself. You
Don't
have a
guilt.
chocolate,
Don't
don't worry
guilt.
about it.
No,
Don't
that's
make a
key.
bad don't have a bad relationship with your body and a bad relationship with food. And you got to know the difference between that, because it's not always about diets, and again, it's not about brown rice and sweet potato. It's about balance and keeping yourself on the right track no matter what,
Mentally and physically.
mentally and physically, because if you're not okay mentally, odds are your eating habits won't be good as well. So that's tip number one. Tip number two is the prepare, like always be prepared. So if you know that you've got a lot going on and it's Sunday night and you have an opportunity to cook a couple things and put it in the fridge for a few days, or maybe cook extra of broccoli or something healthy, or preparing yourself for the next week, if you know that you're going to have a busy week, that's always so important, because especially in university, everything's so unorganized and crazy, especially
It's
now
funny
with
that you said that. Well, yes, you're gonna say, especially now with Zoom and all that kind of
Zoom.
stuff. Yeah.
Exactly.
So
So
what I was gonna say when you said the word unorganized is, I was just thinking in my head how organized you are.
yeah.
Like, you're very organized. Kat and my mom are both very organized, so they're always trying to help me because I'm not at all. But
In your own way.
yeah, kind of. I'm somewhat organized in some ways, I would say. But what I wanted to connect your weight loss journey and your consistency to was your mental health. So to open up another topic quickly is, I want to talk about your anxiety and your depression. So
Mm.
you did go through a phase where things were really rough. They were dark. It
Mm-hmm.
forced my family to learn a lot about that stuff, about mental health. That's why I've changed as a coach. I've changed as a person. My perspectives have changed, and I'm continuing to learn about this topic. Obviously, I'm not in in university courses, like deeply learning about it, but as things come up, as we go through things in life, I'm constantly trying to adapt and to learn more about it. So what would you say for someone that has anxiety and depression, suffers from that? What would you say some, like, your top two or three things, tips are to be able to understand it, come to terms with it, but not allow it to slow you down? Because
Yeah.
if it had full consumption over you, you wouldn't have been able to achieve the things you would have, or you know what I mean? Like, you would still be in the same mental state even after the progress, right? Like,
Yeah.
how have you grown through that? And still being able to get good grades. Because, guys, she just finished her fourth exam, or all of her exams, but
My fifth one, yeah.
yeah, so her fifth one, but out of 4 out of 5 marks, she has all A's, and this is in third year uni. So Kat, when I say Kat's a brain, it's not a joke. Like she's literally a straight A student down the board, elementary school, high school, and now university. So it's not like, oh, she went to uni and life really hit her that she's like not that. No, she's fucking that smart. So how
I
do you?
appreciate that.
Yeah, buddy, it's insane. Like, so how like I said, how have you not let that like fully come into the way of like your success in school, your success in working out, because you lead with fitness, you work out like 5 times a week. When you don't work out, obviously you're okay with it and stuff like that.
Hmm.
But what would you say your top 3 tips are to the audience about how to kind of overcome that or to live with it and to kind of still be able to achieve your goals?
Yeah. So I want to, before I even say what I'm going to say about my 3 things, I just want to say that this is not only coming from someone who suffers from it, this is also coming from an educational standpoint and like just like proven things that like if you're in that dark place, like number one, no, you're not alone. You'll never be alone. And number two, like there's ways, there are ways. I think for me, one of the first things was social support. I feel like I was always very good at like not talking about my problems and always being like, well, that's a me issue. Like that's it. I'm not feeling great today. Like I
And
don't
just
know
kind of
why.
bottle it in,
Yeah,
right?
I just kept it to myself and like I was struggling with like social aspects of myself like just everything in my life I felt was going on a downward slope, and instead of just talking to one of my very supportive family members about it, I just kept it inside. And I think that having and finding an outlet, a social outlet for yourself is super important, whether
Like the
that's,
closest person to you, like someone that
yeah,
you know that won't judge you, someone that you
yeah,
know that like you like literally is all ears, right?
yeah.
Like
But with that kind of 1A, I guess you can say, is that another big thing that I think is also beneficial if you are in that dark place, and even if you have the family and the friends, is therapy. And I went to therapy. I'm not ashamed about it. I
mm-hmm.
study. I can become a therapist. Like
Mm-hmm.
I study it and it's effective, and talking to your family is one thing, and they'll never, I hope that you guys have supportive friends and family out there, but um it's always good to talk to a professional, because a professional isn't just going to sit there and be like, I'm so
Can give
sorry,
you
I
professional
love you.
advice too,
Yeah,
right?
they're going
Like
to tell you and they're going to talk you through how to the reasoning why you feel the way you do,
mm-hmm.
and how to overcome that and how to battle that. And I think
How
that's really cool, and a lot of people put down therapy, and and
I think it's a growing. I think it's becoming a lot more relevant. Like
yeah, I agree.
because of like Let's Talk, like all those kinds of
Yeah.
campaigns. Like I think it is becoming more prominent in the world, which
Mm.
I'm more than happy about. I just want to explain to the audience how proud I am of you for having
Thanks.
that and still being able to like be the biggest transformation on Team Bionic. Like guys, like I've had people lose over 100 pounds, 50 pounds, 60 pounds, 30 pounds, whatever. Like Cap maybe lost like 8 pounds.
No, I lost like 20 pounds.
You did?
Yeah, I was like 120. Okay, maybe not 30 pounds, but like
But
20
it was
pounds.
regardless of the weight, guys, the
Yeah.
mirror and all that
It
bullshit.
wasn't about
She
that.
changed like as a human, and I could see that in her. I could see the way she has a loving boyfriend, Sam. Shout out to Sam. This kid's in my videos. We talk about him on the Dark Horse MMA podcast. Shout out to Sam. You were able to welcome his love into your life.
And
You
just before you
yeah,
continue
go
on
ahead, go
that,
ahead.
I just wanted to say that a major thing you need to realize, whether it's with your friends or a significant other of any type, is that the love that you give yourself is going to be the love that you receive from another human being. And that was a major thing, is that when I actually changed how I thought, what I did, and who and became the best version of myself,
It attracted
and yeah, it
another
just,
great
the
human being,
universe
right?
was like, you're ready.
Hmm.
And then
But
that's
it
when
was months.
it was,
Like
it was months. It was lots of
you were
months.
transforming. You were working out all the
I was
time.
working on
Now
myself.
you and Sam work out all the time. So I'm sure
Yeah.
he appreciates the fact that you lead with fitness. I'm going to continue to say lead with fitness because of my background, number one. But number
Mm-hmm.
two, I listened to a podcast of. You can make fun of me if you want, but I've been watching Jersey Shore lately. Fucking love it.
Because
That's
it's a bad addiction.
whatever. I'm like, it's like absolute crack, honest to God. But now Rachel's listening to Mike the Situation's podcast with his wife. He's been through a lot. He's been in jail. He's done all these things or whatever. And he always talks about leading with fitness and how leading with fitness and leading with your health, you can never go wrong. So I think that you putting that out there for yourself, over the mental health aspects and everything, leading with fitness, I think has really, really put you on a good track because you haven't stopped, dude. Like you're a tank. Guys, Kat's a tank. She squats. She does compound movements. She's lifting weights. She's not like scared to lift weights to get big. She's not one of those girls. She's a weightlifter. She does HIIT. She does yoga. She does everything, man. So I think that,
It's wellness.
yeah, being in tune with your body, like
Yeah.
you were doing, like ripping a HIIT workout in our living room today. She didn't, like, guys, I have a fully loaded gym 2 feet that way, and she just like, I'm just gonna grab a yoga mat and like blast a workout here. She's motivated. Like, I've seen you change, dude. It's absolutely crazy. So
Thanks. I
yeah,
appreciate that.
yeah, no problem. I don't want to make anybody cry on this podcast, so I'm gonna hit it with a little bit more of a casual topic next, closing things out just to talk about our journey together.
Yeah.
But I just want to talk about you being a trooper. A quick story with my sister. I used to like put her in nets in hockey. Shoot the orange ball at her and do all these things, and she grew up like that younger hockey sister that was like, you know, either playing with me roller hockey on the street or
Yeah.
filming things for me or doing this and that, whatever. So
Showing up to school with like circles on my legs from the orange hockey ball.
like literally after school, like if I didn't wasn't playing with any of my friends, it was my sister. So she's always been there. And another thing now that she deals with that she's getting really good at is I'm ripping the BJJ chokes at her all the time. So I'll try to slap her
Out of
in.
nowhere, I will add, like, I'll just be like standing in the kitchen getting some
Sneak
water.
attack.
Next thing you know, I'm in a darce.
Yeah,
Like, I don't even know.
sneak attack. Sometimes I slap her in the guillotine or
Guillotine.
yeah, the guillotine. Whatever. I shoot for takedowns on her. I make her defend herself because I think that self defense is something that should be mandatory in elementary schools. Because for a little girl in grade 2 that can't defend herself, like, they make the stupidest things mandatory in the curriculum in every single like school nowadays. It's like the dumbest shit ever, but they never teach self-defense. They never teach kids how to stand up for themselves. Like, yes, there's a bullying ceremony here and then or whatever, but they don't teach martial arts to the point where, like, there's a certain understanding when like, okay, this kid could kick the fuck out of me if I go near him, right?
Yeah.
So if that was present or whatever, I think, so I do that shit to you to make you tougher,
Yeah.
low key. And I know it fucking sucks probably
Well,
because
no, and like honestly, like I've had my experiences with like needing self-defense where it didn't come to me, right? So it's definitely something, if you don't think you're ever gonna need it, let me tell you,
you might.
you might.
So, as the big brother, just to give you guys a funny story to kind of lighten the mood, I used to like shoot fucking hockey balls at her. I put her in chokes. Like, she's an absolute trooper. Like, literally the point I have on here is she's a trooper that's been through a lot. She's survived. She's better herself. She's a completely different person than she was 2 years ago, 4 years ago, 8 years ago. Constantly evolving. That's kind of like something that we strive to do together, right? Like,
If
whether
you're not growing, you're staying the same, and staying the same is never okay.
it's never okay, right? And that's another cool thing I wanted to mention is I heard a quote once from someone that I was working with, and they said to me, if you're doing the same stuff you were doing last year, that means that you're not growing.
Yeah.
Right? So you need to be constantly changing your habits and all that kind of stuff. So with my physical health background and pushing my family to work out, to eat better, to have good nutrition, and then my sister and my girlfriend having the mental health aspect to it, pushing me to develop as a human, to be intact with my emotions. I think personally, going back to the stage to relate it to that, I think that you have helped me a lot in the 2 years that I've been off. The 2 years I've been off is the 2 years that you've grown the most in my entire life. So I think that me going back to the stage, I'll be a lot more emotionally in check. I'm going to be coaching myself. I'm going to be confident in myself. There's going to be a lot of different mental aspects that I didn't have down packed when I was 19 years old competing before. Just to give you guys a perspective, my first competition, I was 19. I'm about to go back to compete at 23 years old. So it's been a while.
Yeah.
And I think that my sister, my parents, like everybody that's going to be in the Meet Team Bionic series, is gonna be a reflection of who I am on that stage and who I'm gonna be as an athlete and as a coach, as a business owner moving forward. Kat, honestly, like you're the best, bud.
Thanks, Ben.
One more thing I wanted to ask you about, just
Yeah.
like I'm gonna ask everybody about this. What is your favorite part about Team Bionic?
My favorite part about Team Bionic is the community. I think that what you and what Team Bionic strive for is so much more than like individual growth. It's like a sense of community. Like when I see people who follow Bionic, like I just receive so much love, and my love goes out for everyone a part of Team Bionic. It's like this community of people that are like pushing each other and to be the best versions of themselves, and it's all facilitated by you. And I think that being a part of something bigger than yourself is so important, and I think that's why, especially with journeys about fitness and health and wellness and well-being, I think being a part of something bigger than yourself is so important because it pushes you even more when people are pushing you in addition to you pushing yourself. And I think that's something I found that was really cool, is just like the love and the community that everyone a part of Team Bionic has for like each other. And it could be a new person you signed up and you post a picture and everyone's putting comments and leaving love. And before this whole COVID stuff happened, like if you meet someone and they come work out at the gym, like it's just a community based feeling that makes you feel like you're a part of something bigger than yourself, and that alone pushes you to be a better version of yourself. I like that a lot. Feels good.
Feels fucking good,
But
people.
that also brings me to a point that I just want to leave off here before we end the podcast, is that you're never alone. You really are never alone. And I think that if
Even
I'm
when you feel alone.
even when you feel alone, I felt like, as you see, I have the most supportive family in the world, I think. And I felt alone for years and months. And I think my biggest thing is you're never alone, and you always need to find the greater good in life and have that pull you out when you need it to pull you out, and go from there. And if you're starting from ground zero, don't be afraid. Never be afraid, because you are so much bigger and better than things that life will throw at you. And I think that is another thing that Team Bionic has taught me, is that you are never to be afraid of anything that life throws at you, because you can conquer it. It's proof.
You know what
You
it's
can
all
do
about,
it.
Kat?
Wow.
Being a lion.
Find your inner roar, guys, right
Find
here.
your inner roar. That's what this podcast is all about. I have it on the headline of my YouTube channel. It was developed earlier, the saying, find your inner roar. Kat, like you at a certain point were down on yourself, all these things, whatever, and you found your inner roar. Not necessarily through Team Bionic, but with the help of Team Bionic by your side. I will always support you in anything that you do in life, just like what you've provided for me. So I think that finding your inner roar is something that all of us need to do at a certain point in our lives. And even when you think you found your inner roar, there's a louder fucking roar that you can still pull out of yourself. And that's
course.
why we're going back to the stage, bud.
Of course.
I want my family there in the stands. I'm going to have my little sister there cheering me on, and it's going to be absolutely amazing. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast,
Of
Kat.
course.
You are the fucking best sister ever. And yeah, guys, for the mystery mugs,
mug.
if you couldn't tell from my face almost yakking every time I drank that mug, Kat's going to judge me, but I'm going to show you guys.
This was a big deal to get him to put this in his mug. I have to say that, though. It's Caesars! Yay! Caesars are my favorite. Jules' least favorite.
Yeah, so this one's spicy, and I had the non-spicy one, because if I had the spicy one, I would have thrown up in this area right here. I don't know how people are drinking Caesars. I always make fun of people that drink Caesars, so whatever. Guys, this is the thing with the mystery mug. It's going to be whatever the guest chooses. If it's like an alcohol I don't like, or if it's a drink I don't like, period, or whatever, I'm going to drink it anyways, and I'm going to buy it, and I'm going to provide it for the guests. So, fuck COVID. I really hope that all this is over so that I can start having people outside of my family, obviously after we finish the first series. But yeah, guys, can't wait to have a drink with you. Can't wait to chat with you. Can't wait to find your inner roar.
Because we know you have it.
We know you got it in deep down inside, or it might just be right there at the surface.
Yeah.
I can't thank you enough. The comments were amazing. I think your perspective is something that a lot of people are going to connect to, and I think it's going to be a great podcast for a lot of people that are either struggling or they'll just get a new perspective from the stuff that you've been through. I didn't want to expose Kat. That's not what this was about. This was more about like being okay with talking about things in your life, like being okay with it, coming to terms with it, being allowing yourself to share it with the public, and being like, I can help other people now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I struggled with my body perception, my body dysmorphia. Actually, I'm going to be making a video of just myself talking about that. But you've done and overcome a lot of things. So I really thank you for coming on the podcast and
You're
sharing
very
that.
welcome.
And until next time, guys, Juliano Meli
Caterina Meli.
for episode number 3 of the Bionic podcast. Thank you guys all so much wherever you are listening. You guys are the absolute best. We love you, Team Bionic family. Thank you guys so much. Make sure you like, subscribe, comment, and we'll see you guys next time on the Bionic podcast.
Peace.
Getcha.